Hi, listeners. This is Evonne, and you're tuned into Million Ways to Shine. You might remember from episode 40, we had the pleasure of interviewing Dr. Anhlan, the author of Living in Grace, Living Your Best Life Now. Well, I had the chance to take the Grace course last fall, and my mindset journey after the course surprised me. GRACE is an acronym that stands for Gratitude, Respect, Accountability, Courage, and Engagement. You might be thinking, I've heard these words before, but how can I use them to live my best life? I had the opportunity to connect with other students from the GRACE course to share our journeys with you and help you determine if the GRACE course might be right for you. So, hi, Lucy. It's so nice to meet you. And it's just wonderful to be able to meet another colleague and another student that comes out of the GRACE course. And I know that that's how we met. And I was really curious, how did you find out about the course?
Well, I just want to start by saying thank you so much for inviting me. Uh, really grateful to be able to practice more podcasts.
Yes, absolutely.
How I met Dr. Anhlan was actually through Mai.
Mm,
I met Dr. Anhlan through Mai because me and Mai, we share a similar passion, which is coaching NLP. She was looking into it to become a coach, whereas for me, I was looking into it more for myself and for self development and stuff like that. Um, so at the time, I was involved with a startup company that was doing a holistic gym with physical exercises, but they also wanted to incorporate some mental exercises in there. When I spoke about it with my, she brought up the Grace program and introduced me to Dr. Anhlan. And from there, I helped launch the first Grace foundational course in Canada at the center. And it did really, really well. It was very well received. I got a lot more out of it than I expected, which was awesome. And a lot of people were positively affected by it, and it continues till this day. And I'm hoping that it'll continue further on because I think it's a great program and a lot of people need it.
mhm.
I myself and a lot of people friends of mine that have taken it, and I can see the difference. It's what you see, not what you know say. I see the difference in their life. I see the difference in their attitude. I see the difference in my life um, with something as simple as the Grace program. So
Mhm. Absolutely. And I felt the same. And
yeah,
yeah, I'm a serial course taker.
yeah.
I
Oh,
love taking courses. I love learning what I don't know. I have a growth mindset. And maybe I would argue sometimes it's a procrastination habit of mine too, to take more
yeah,
courses. I definitely felt really different about the GRACE program, about just understanding gratitude. I've heard these words before: gratitude, respect, accountability, courage, engagement, but I just
yeah.
never embodied them the way that Dr. Allen in the course, and even working with students like yourself, engaging with other people in that manner. And for you, what was the biggest change that happened for you before the course and after the course?
I think. I mean, I can't say I owe it all to the Grace program. I took a lot of other courses prior to the Grace program to work on myself as well, because I went through something traumatic in my life, which was the loss of my sister. So that really rocked my world and kind of took the carpet right out from under my feet. So I was on that journey. You get to that point where you're on that journey of just trying to figure out, okay, so how do I get back to normal? How do I get back to myself? And you know, with kids and with businesses and everything else that's going on, you kind of have to try and pick up the pieces again. Um, so I took a couple of other courses before that too, but I think what the Grace program did for me is it really brought everything in quite nicely, and packaged it very well, where it wasn't bits and pieces everywhere. It kind of got condensed and it was in one place, and just the practices. If you really, I mean, like with anything, with any program, exercise regime, anything, you can be given the perfect set of exercises for whatever it is you're targeting, but if you're not going to follow it, nothing's going to happen. And it's the same thing. with the Grace program. I feel like the people who really did do the practices really did follow step by step instructions and really, what's that word, be present
Mm-hmm.
in the course,
Mm-hmm.
really got a lot out of it. And maybe it's where they were at that point in their life as well, right? I was at that point where I was ready to find something, looking for something like this. And the few people that I brought in that were ready got a lot more out of it. Like you get what you put in, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for me, definitely, you know, the gratitude thing. Like you said, you hear it all the time, but you're never taught how to do it. You're never given step by step instructions. And what Dr. Anhlan did was she really broke it down to fundamental. You know, you can do the grace breathing, you can do the joy jar, you can do the gratitude journey. There's so many different things that you can do. You don't have to do all of it. You might not resonate with majority of it, but maybe if you can find one and you practice it, and it really creates a new mindset because you're so used to being in that dark place where you keep on just constantly thinking about the negative. So it's nice to have something to replace that negative thought with right away and just kind of build a new memory,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yes.
Um,
Yes. Yes.
Definitely the gratitude, the accountability. That was big for me too. I mean, I'm a faulty mom. I'm not gonna lie. I do, I make a lot of
Oh.
mistakes with my kids. Uh, what I wish I knew, um, or at least prior to the course, was that I wish I knew how to be more accountable. But but with this course, it taught me, you know, like you're okay. It's okay to make mistakes, but you have to own up to it,
Mm-hmm. Right.
right?
Right.
And with my kids, I do to really kind of, I still do what I'm not supposed to do with them, like yell at them or whatever. But I take accountability. I'll turn around and say, "I'm really sorry. That wasn't your fault. Mommy's just stressed. Mommy's just." So I think for a child to be able to hear an adult be accountable,
Mm-hmm.
that was big. Like that was one of the big things I took away from this course, was to be accountable to my kids.
I think it's exactly what you mentioned, where learning how to communicate your emotions through that process. Dr. Allen was able to help me through that as well. Because when I was getting frustrated or not feeling gratitude, I really couldn't pinpoint or tell myself why not and how to change. But then becoming aware of how to make these small changes and even having other people help me too. I mean, I was definitely sharing my journey and my progress about the course with my significant other, and he'll remember there's just something very sticky about some of the tidbits that she gives. So when I say them and I tell them, I hear them. I hear them, and they really stick into my mind. And so, for example, I got really frustrated one day with my significant other, and he goes like, "Wait a second, aren't you taking a course that's telling you exactly what not to do?" And I'm like, "Oh, you're right." And I think it's those moments where, again, we're solidifying that memory. These are now core memories, and it's hard to forget. It's hard to forget. And of course, that feeling that you feel afterwards of seeing that results. And my significant other saw the results faster than I did. I maybe felt the results. I just didn't know what was happening. But he was
Yeah,
seeing the whole progress and the whole journey. He can
yeah,
truly say,
I can resonate. Yeah, yeah. I think it was. I think I met you in the second course, right? The second
"Yes,
cohort.
cohort
So the
two." Mhm.
third was I was in that, and I think embarrassingly, because I'm an open book. So the first cohort, there were students there. They'll remember when I was in like the middle of like being upset at my significant other, and if it
Mhm.
wasn't for Dr. Anhlan and how she taught, you know, nonviolent communication in the way that she teaches it,
Yes.
I think I've gone right back to being that alpha, you know. And it was her that taught me that it's more important to be kind than to be right. I was like, no, it's not. That took a while.
Mhm. I completely resonate with that. I thought the exact same thing too. And then, and again, maybe it was my upbringing or just what the the experiences I had when I was a child, I guess I never learned that before. And I was open about that. I also never had learned nonviolent communication. I didn't even know that was a phrase. And so
Yeah.
I didn't even know those two words could be put together. But now that I know them, I'll never forget them. And of course, I'll share them with other people. And I think I asked my significant other, and even just my family, asked, does anyone know about this? And they're like, nope, you're the first one. Imagine how many people walking through life who haven't been blessed with these two words before to be able to
Right.
know.
It's interesting because when I practiced it on him, I'm like thinking like, oh, this is never gonna work. This is me giving in.
Hmm. I thought the same thing too. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, well, I guess I can compromise.
So, Dr. Anhlan, the 100 I don't know if it'll work with my.
Oh, oh my gosh, wait, we're resonating with the exact same pieces
Yeah.
because I thought the exact same thing, the 100 principle. That was, I actually don't
Yeah.
just use that for my significant other. I use that in my career as
Mm.
well, especially with, like teammates
Yeah.
and just colleagues, and just the principle of I've got to do the work and really not expect anything back. I think the science self of myself says, like, no, that doesn't compute. It's like I have to be equal. I have to have all these check boxes and these check marks. But then I realized at very early on in last year in the program, the life really doesn't work that way. You really
Yeah.
can't put people in a box. Again, we've heard that time and time again in different courses, in different methods, in different ways in order to be kind and gentle and forgiving. But I never really knew how to do that because I was just such a checkmark person. So being
Yeah.
able to really live that life freely and just say, I can only control what I can do. And I'm so blessed and honored by anyone else who's going to meet me at whatever they have the energy to, or whatever energy they can meet me at, because they're not
Yeah.
always going to have the same energy that I provide, and that's okay.
And do you find now that knowing that now that you are aware of that, and you've seen the difference it's made in your life, I, I for one find that when I look around and I see, like my friends' marriages breaking down or friendships breaking down or siblings arguing with their parents and etc. I can see that it's because nobody wants to back down, right?
Yeah.
Like us before.
Hmm.
Nobody wants to say, okay, do the 100 do the nonviolent communication and just not so much give them the benefit of the doubt. I don't think, I mean, there's boundaries to everything, right? If somebody's going to take
Right.
advantage of it. But
Yeah, that's another piece.
yeah, but I feel like when you're giving somebody your compassion and your empathy and your listening ear, and you let them know that they return the favor, right? Which was
Yes.
surprising to me because I thought I'm gonna give in and then he's gonna think he's all right. But no, like he was just like, "What? This is weird. Why are you doing?" But then slowly he started doing it, and then we created like a new, like a new way of communicating where now it's no longer this bickering back and forth. It's just I apologize, even though I think I'm not wrong.
Right.
I'm gonna apologize. I'm gonna take this one. But the empathy you give them, they give back.
And give back, I in my mind now, is not always what you I would expect. In fact, now that I've let go of my expectations, the end result ends up being a lot better. It ended up being a lot better than I could have ever wished or asked for, even. I didn't know what I didn't know.
Because it's genuine. It's actually coming from a genuine
Correct.
place when it comes back to you.
Exactly. And honestly, a lot less effort if I didn't have to nag. I felt like I was nagging a lot and I mean, I don't want to do that. I never wanted to do that, but it was just such a bad habit because I felt that I needed control over the situation.
Yeah.
And I felt that if I didn't tell him, this person, what to do, that it would never get done. And now I realize, especially after practicing these principles and nonviolent communication, the best thing is just to stay silent. Sometimes, no, really, like sometimes I just felt
Yeah.
like me being silent and me truly listening and hearing what is happening, that spoke a lot more than me telling exactly what I thought needed to be said. And that was a huge
Yeah.
lesson for me.
Yeah. No, definitely. That's a huge one too. So oftentimes you hear couples, they're just talking over one another. They're never really listening to one
Mm.
another, right? And then it becomes like no matter what you say, they've already kind of blocked you out because you blocked them out. So
Yeah.
it made our relationship definitely a lot better. And even with my kids taking accountability, they forgive you so easily. Kids forgive so easily.
Really?
They do. My kids are only like 9, 6, and 4, right?
Hmm.
Um, but that being said, I mean, I wish I was when I was younger, I wish somebody apologized to me when they did something like an adult, right? Because you really take that in as a child. You really take that in and you take it with you right into your adulthood and you blame yourself for a lot. So I think take advantage of the fact that kids forgive easily.
And that's a blessing because then you see how happy and how light they are a lot of the
Yeah.
times. Yeah.
How often do parents do that? Do you recall being apologized to when you were a child?
No, but I think that's where a lot of issues probably stem from. Because I mean, for me, I'm a recovering perfectionist, and so I thought a lot of things were my fault. And so I part of the program is helping you recover from that and realizing that you don't have that control and you can feel guilty, but let go of that guilt because it no longer serves you, especially when it's an event that's in the past and there's really nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do, and you're just kind of eating yourself alive with this guilt,
Yeah.
and not being able to resolve it or not getting the apology that you feel like you deserve. Those are all the things that I felt like I was able to slowly piece away and start to overcome and start realizing where I can start stepping into my life with grace.
Yes. Yes.
And for you, what was your biggest takeaway? If you could tell anyone what's the biggest takeaway from the course and just what you remember from your life, what would that be?
My biggest takeaway from the course, I would have to say, is really learning to, gonna sound so cliche, but love myself. Really learning to trust myself again. Really learning how to really listen to my intuition and kind of drown out all that noise made its home in my head. You know what I mean? Over the years of self doubt and all this nagging and all this expectations from others and all these, you let that get to you. Um, and I think it really chips away at who you are as a person. And you stop relying on your inner dialogue. I found I was at a place where my core was not there
Mhm.
the way it used to be. Not that I was super stable before. I mean, I had my faults, but I trusted my gut before. I lived on my own when I was 17, and I really built a strong identity and self sufficient, independent kind of,
Yeah.
But over the years, depending on who you surround yourself with, what you let in, the many disappointments that you've had, the failures, like you said, expectations that you put up that you don't really necessarily reach the way you want. It really chips away at your self identity and all that stuff. And then, the loss of my sister really shook me and kind of took that right from me, right? And I just felt like I can't do this. So I think having a foundation like Grace to really reestablish all of that, all those new habits or old habits that I tried to bring back and really practice grounding and being present and self-respect and gratitude, and it really built me back up
Yeah.
and it really put me kind of like back in my power,
Yes. Yes.
right?
Yes, absolutely. That's exactly how I felt. I felt like
Yeah,
this was the new me after finishing the course. And it was the me that I was really proud of. I was
yeah.
really proud of the journey and
I'm
all the work.
prouder of myself now than I ever have been. I have to
Oh,
say.
yes. Yes, Lucy.
Before I didn't have like this 100 to 0 thing, and I didn't have this being kind over being right and all that stuff. So I had my faults back then, but I feel like now I have a nice set of guides to really, like go back to and say, wait, what am I supposed to do? Wait, yeah. And hopefully with practice, I won't look at it and look it up.
And they just become part of that beautiful routine and part of your life.
I wish I had more time to practice a lot of it, but I think it's nice to start somewhere. And there's a lot of guide in this for us to be able to follow if we just open it up and give into it. I think being present with it.
Yes, being present and doing exactly what we're doing now and just sharing it with each other and just sharing it with the world because I think the world just needs more communication and to share more love and to share more respect. So this is all part of that and all part of those steps. I'm so glad I was able to chat with you today.
Yeah, that was fun. Thanks so much.
Of course. And we'll definitely have you back on because I love chatting with you and I love chatting about journeys. I think the most important thing, even, as I take more classes and as I learn how to apply grace into my life, we find different ways and different nuances on how that works for us. And being able to share that testimony just helps other people because even me sharing my story, someone didn't know that before. And now that opens up their eyes to that possibility and that potential. And I think we need more conversations and more people like you in this world, Lucy. So
Oh,
I'm so happy that we got a chance to meet.
thanks so much for putting up with all my stumbling and
No, you're
rant.
perfect. It's authenticity. It's authenticity. I mean, oh, I know what I feel like that's the best part about even just grace, right? To laugh at yourself and be like, oh my gosh, like I was just so excited. I didn't know what to say or I said the wrong word. I think that's to me, again, as a recovering perfectionist, that was the hardest part. I used to beat myself up all the time for not
Mm,
saying the right things or not doing the right things. But now,
right.
I'm like, this is
You're letting,
just
yeah,
just letting it be. And I honestly, like you said, I'm the most proud of myself I've been. I'm the happiest that I've ever been in this stage
yeah.
and in this life. Even when I go through valleys, like I'm not saying that once you take a course or if you're doing what me and
No,
Lucy
no,
are doing, that you're going to be on this mountain riding this high.
no. You still have sad days, and you're
Hmm.
still allowed to have. Oh, I still have my cry days.
Yeah,
Um, but I think the resiliency that it's built for us to kind of
exactly.
ride through those days is much different than how I would have handled it before.
Yes, same. I definitely handle
Yeah.
it differently and knowing my boundaries and also just I don't want to say maybe protecting other people is not quite the right term, but I definitely let people know today's probably not the best day to talk to me right now. I need my time. I need my chocolate. I need I just let me watch my Netflix and don't talk to me for an hour. Because those, the self-care, it's exactly what you said. Like I
Yeah.
love myself very much right now, but I also love my significant other and everyone around me enough to know I need some time for myself and to respect that time and boundaries.
Regardless of where you are in your life journey right now, whether you're happy, whether you're struggling, whether you're in a good place or in a bad place, I think it's super important to take proactive control of your mental health. Like I said, regardless of where it is you are in life right now, because life is not always the same. It's going to have peaks, it's going to have valleys. And you want to be prepared to face those. Because it's a lot, I'm going to be honest, it's going to be a lot harder to go through a program like Grace when you're in the depths of despair. So I was lucky. Yeah, I wasn't in the depths of despair at the moment. But had I been, I might not have been. May not have been able to be as present as I was. So you definitely have to be prepared for the work. This will apply to anybody who wants to be proactive and facing life challenges in the future. So something that it's hard to get through to people who are not struggling because they don't
Mm.
feel like they see it, and it's hard to get through to people who are struggling because they're struggling too much to, be able to be present with some of the practices. So the only thing I can preach is, hey, listen, like one of these days it's gonna knock you off your feet. You get prepared now before it does.
And thank you so much for sharing that. And thank you for sharing your time with me today.
Hi guys, hi, I'm Evonne, and I just want to thank you guys for just being in the class with me and for all the coaches, especially you, Alan, for just keeping my spirits up and for really introducing me to living in grace. While I was doing the courses and the homework, I truly learned things that I had never thought I would learn. I thought I was an empathetic person. I thought I had embodied all these attributes, but you really took me deeper. And so now I can truly see like how I I can start applying these in a truly authentic way and be able to share that with other people. I think I've told all my friends about this course, and all of them said the same thing. They were like, wow, like how can I learn more? How can I do more? So I think it's just starting.